everybody. So one of the things that stood out to me with Elio, with the newest release from Pixar, was that it was an unusual film to be about a young child. And I started doing some deep diving. And because I think on the surface, most of us would think animation, animated films, of course, those are about children. They're for predominantly for children or families. There are very, very few animated films that are starring children younger than 10. And there's a lot of things. So forgive me if I kind of ramble a little bit, but I just think this is like so interesting because, again, you would think that, oh my gosh, Disney, of course, they're making movies for children, but they actually aren't about children 99% of the time. I think that's one of the things that is super unique about Lilo and Stitch is that Lilo is 6 years old. That is unheard of as a lead for an animated film. It's extremely rare. The only other one that in the Disney canon that is starring a child under 10 would be Pinocchio. That as long as unless you're considering animals like a Dumbo, but animals they age differently. So like a year old, for instance, for Bambi is just a year old by the end of it, but a year older, but is already matured. So I think it's a little bit different than a film that's actually about a child. And it's fascinating to me because movies are such a unique beast because there's lots of products that are for younger than 10 children, but it's almost exclusively television or print media, books, things like that. And the reason why is because typically very, very small children don't have a large attention span. And it's by necessity, if you are making a feature film, you are going to want to appeal to more than little children that have very short attention spans. So television is in many ways the ideal medium for pre-K kids because they might not even have the attention span of 30 minutes. And as in the world of marketing, what's the general standard rule is that you always want to try to age up your characters one step beyond the intended audience. So if you have, for instance, High School Musical was actually really made for preteens, even though it's set in high school. That's the targeted demographic is preteens. And that's usually kind of how you want to do it. Because you want to try to have as much of an audience as is humanly possible. And since little kids are not typically going to be able to have the stamina for a feature film, you want to make sure that the movie appeals to older kids and also that one step up is going to be an older child anyway. So that's why so many animated films are about young adults because kids by nature are aspirational. They want to look forward. They want to they don't like being kids 99% of the time. And so the idea of like a Belle or an Ariel or even a Pocahontas, these kinds of young adults that's aspirational for a lot of kids. Most kids aren't looking for something that will validate them or that they can relate with. They're looking for something that is moving forward. And so let's look at the kind of representation for small kids that you have in Disney. Like I said, there's only 2 in the Disney canon that are human lead characters under the age of 10. You have Pinocchio and you have Lilo. Now, there are a whole bunch of characters that are 11 or 12. Even Elio, who I thought was much younger. I just think he looks like a young character. I thought he was maybe 10, but I don't know. To me, he looks very similar to Lilo. I thought he was like 7, 8, but he's actually 11, which I thought was interesting. But you have Wendy in Peter Pan is 12, Arthur in Sword in the Stone is 12. Alice in Alice in Wonderland is not exactly sane, but she's 7 in the book, but she's definitely older. She's in the, like, I think in the 12 range in Alice in Wonderland. Mowgli is 10 in Jungle Book, but he's arguably not the lead character that in the movie. It's kind of more an ensemble, I would say, but he is technically 10. You have Jenny in Bolt, who is 12. And you could make the argument that she's also not really the lead character, that Bolt is the lead character of the movie, but still, so she's 12. Vanellope is either 9 or 12. That Rich Moore and Sarah Silverman both said she's 9 in Wreck-It Ralph, but then John Lasseter had said that she was 12. She's also a fantasy character from a video game, not like a flesh and blood human being. So I don't know. Take that for what you will. You have Russell in Up, that's 9, arguably not the lead character. So that's kind of an interesting one. You have characters that start out little in the beginning of their movies and have like a somewhat significant little younger arc, and then are young adults for the rest of the movie. That's certainly in Frozen, in Raya and the Last Dragon, in Tarzan, in Princess and the Frog. All of those would be examples of the Moana has that a little bit. So there's some characters that are children that are like side characters, supplementary characters. So in the Rescuers movies, both of the characters that are rescued are both 6. So Cody and Penny are both 6. But obviously the leads of the film are Bernard and Bianca in both those films. You also have Winnie the Pooh with Christopher Robin, and Christopher Robin is 6 at the beginning, but then he ends up aging, going to school. But he's obviously not the lead of the story. Winnie the Pooh is the lead of the story. You have Boo in Monsters Inc. That's one you could consider. Like, I debated, is she a lead character? I mean, obviously Mike and Sully are the lead characters, but Boo is in the movie a lot. So I guess you could make that claim that she is a child character, lead character. The Incredibles, you have Dash, who is 10, and Jack, of course. But again, we're talking about supplementary characters, not the lead characters. And you have Riley in Inside Out, who is 11. So, and you also see her grow up as well. So that seems to be that, like, 12 years old seems to be the sweet spot for, we can still get that younger kid audience while not being a full-fledged, like, young adult teenage film. Make your character 12. May from Turning Red is 13, I believe. The kids in Luca, who are both 13. So yeah, that's kind of the aspirational age if you want to have your movie be made about a child, is to make them 12 or 13, and then it can still be sort of a movie about a child without actually being a pre-K or being branded a film for only little kids. Like, that's the death nail. You do not want to be branded as only for kids. You want it to be seen as a family film, or a film for the whole family, not a film that's for young children, because there's literally never been a successful film for little kids. The few that they have tried to make for, like, pre-K, for like little kids, have either been anthology films like your Winnie the Pooh, which makes sense again because you got the shorter attention span, or have been huge flops. You've got like things like the Oogie Loves movie or the Barney movie, or they have taken those pre-K properties and they've tried to age them up with mixed success, like something like Dora the Explorer. We'll see how this Gabby the Dollhouse movie is this fall. Looks a little, but that would be also another attempt of trying to take a pre-K property and trying to make it more for the whole family. It's really hard to do, very, very difficult. But I know I just thought that was so interesting that like there are almost no animated films about little kids. It is very rare. Lilo and Stitch is one of the only ones. I mean, one of the interesting things about, I think, the Despicable Me movies is that the girls are pretty young. They're 12, 9, and 6 in the Despicable Me movies. But again, you're talking about supporting characters. Could they lead their whole, could Agnes have her whole own movie as a 6-year-old? Probably not. Probably not. And I don't know. So I just think that's kind of fascinating. And you would think that movies for children would have children in them more than they do. They really don't. So I'm very curious for your thoughts. Maybe there's some big one that I'm really missing that I'm not thinking of with this. Let me know if that's the case. I'd love the feedback. And I don't have children, but I would love to hear feedback from parents or even maybe educators, teachers, people like that spend a lot of time with children. Why do you think this is? Why do you think that it's not more appealing for little kids under 10 to see movies about little kids under 10? Know what you think about this topic. I am very interested. And please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. You can check out my playlist with all my editorials on different topics. I'm getting closer and closer to 5K. And I'm really proud of the channel. And I think it provides some pretty fun content. So definitely take a look at it and check out the Patreon group. That's the biggest way you can support everything I'm doing and be part of our watch alongs and other events that we're having. And we have our merch store, which has tons of fun designs. Take a look at that. #animation junkie shirts, all that fun stuff. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.